season wraps up with a win. Regular season wraps up with a win against Hilmar last week. Crowd was into it. Your senior players were obviously feeling, all the emotions heading into that game, being that it was their final game on their home field.
Yeah.
Talk about that win and talk about the momentum it sets you up for heading into the playoffs.
Well, the momentum's huge. Being able to do that and beat a quality opponent on their last regular season and go into playoffs on a high note. We had a great atmosphere, great intensity coming out of the gate on Friday. I think a majority of that probably played into our last being able to showcase us, our guys, especially our seniors, on the last home game, because we know we're going to be on the road for playoffs. There was nothing that was going to be changing that. So, barring any upsets and that type of thing, that was in our last and final game at home. So that played into it, I think, a lot, and you could feel it in the locker room. The guys were ready to play and came out clicking on all cylinders.
All right. After the win, I imagine there was a bit of a waiting game. You checking stats and websites, periodicals, things of that nature to try to find out who you were going to be matched up against. Describe that process a little bit and let people know, what is a coach going through in those times?
Yeah, it's with the way the new playoff system works, you go based upon, your overall record wins, and then there's some tiebreakers involved with league standing and defeated opponent wins and that type of thing. But as the season wears on, you kind of get an idea of where's everybody going to fit in. As soon as they start to lose or win, you put it in the computer. I had a spreadsheet going. I was tracking everything and trying to predict the bracket, and got pretty close. I narrowed it down to a couple, about 3 teams. It was either going to be Oakdale or with our win, it was either going to be Oakdale, Rio Linda, or Benicia, and being in the 11th seed, we were able to move up to the 11th seed with a win and get Benicia as the number 6. So you're kind of just looking around and trying to get all the information you can about the teams you don't know anything about. Rio Linda, I know where that's at. Benicia, I know where that's at. I haven't seen them on film, haven't watched any of their games. I don't know exactly what they run on offense or defense. You can kind of go by stats and rosters and that type of thing. But once we got confirmed that that's who we're going to play, it's time to go back to work. Schedule film exchange, get some film exchange with the other coach, and move on from there and develop our game plans.
Like we talked about earlier, I had to do a quick Google search to see exactly who the Benicia Panthers were. It turns out that they finished 4-1, tied atop their Solano County Athletic Conference, tied atop first place tie, and other than that, and they're 83 miles away, about an hour and a half drive away from here.
Yeah.
What are we finding out about this team? Heading into this final this week to play them.
Well, without watching any film, you can I already got to look at them on stat wise, from different sources, and they want to throw the ball. They got 2 receivers. One has 12 touchdowns, one's got 11. They're taller, taller than some of the guys we've seen this year. We saw some size at some of the receiver positions earlier in the year. We haven't seen it since in a while, so we'll adjust to that. And they've got a quarterback that is thrown for a lot of obviously the 23 touchdowns to those guys, but a lot of yards and that type of thing. More pass oriented than run oriented. More offensive minded as a program than some of the teams we've seen. A lot of offense. A quality defense, but we haven't seen. We've seen some pretty good defenses, through this year with Central and Escalon, and so that's going to help us out a little bit, and with some experience. But yeah, it was a thing of searching them out, trying to figure out what they're all about, and looking at roster. They got some size in some spots that we haven't seen, but they've got some smaller guys in other spots that we have seen bigger guys throughout the year. So we'll be able to match up, I think, fairly equally with some of our guys, and move on from there. It's going to be a good matchup for us. It's going to be a quality game for us on Friday.
Obviously, it's win or go home now. Any differences between practices preparing for a playoff game in contrast to practicing, for a regular season game?
Well, I think the overall intensity is there. You have to be more focused. Because every practice could be your last practice. Today could be our last Monday practice of the year, and for seniors it could be our last Monday practice, of their career. So you have to go in with that mindset and understand that if you don't take care of business on Friday, everything you just did during a week is over now. You're not going to be able to repeat it. You can't come. We're not going to be able to come out here and practice and just get pickup games and that type of thing. I mean, it's win or go home. In every sense of the word. So, yeah, I think the intensity gets picked up, the focus gets picked up, and guys, have to come in understanding that every play that you go through, every rep that you go through in practice, is essentially just ticking away at the end of the season at some point. And we want to try and continue that, and our goal is to be practicing on Thanksgiving Day.